Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Metzia Davov, Shir sponsor Lui Nishmas, Aram B'Akashom, Leab Basitzchok. So we're starting in the 11th line from the top of Mudalif. Abayi Omar. We learned earlier, the Gemara asked, what's the reason that a person who's choshed, we're choshed that he's lying, we do a shul, how does shul help? According to what the Gemara said, that a person is going to go and grab something that doesn't belong to him, why do we trust him for shul? So Abayi Omar, Abayi will explain to you. Maybe this guy who's grabbing the talis, even though he's lying about it, but it's not for no merit. He has a reason for it. He's lying about it because he thinks this guy who's holding on to his talis owes him something. So he says, I'm going to take it from here. So if you assume that this guy really has a claim, let him take it without a shul. See, not because it's for sure has milvei shana, it's a suffix milvei shana. It's not a vadai, it's a suffix. So the guy is not 100% sure, and he's grabbing the talis because he wants to take this mini suffix. You see, the guy is willing to take money even though he's not sure the guy owes him. So according to this, maybe he'll do shvu also in suffix. People, when they have a case that they're going to have to do shvuah ala safek, they're not going to be nishma. Even though maybe in their mind they feel they have the right, but they're not 100% sure they won't do a shvuah. But in moment, people will be more motivated to themselves to take the money. My time, what's the reason? Moment needs to be chazar, shvuah is bechazar. Money you always can give back. So he says here that the guy is going to take the money, say, I'm going to verify this case, and if I can't find any proof that this guy owes me, I'll give him back to him. But shvuah, once you did shvuah, it's too late. So therefore shvuah, people will not do misofik. So that's why putting shvuah over here helps us verify the case. But just assuming the guy is taking a taz of chaver because he has a claim, that's not that we could assume that maybe it's a sofik. Says the Gemara now. Now, the following Gemaras, starting really from these two dots and going into later in the Amud, and into the next Amud, is the sugya, which is called sugya's tuk for koyin. Tuk for koyin really is based on someone grabbing something from somebody else. And this sugya is one of the main sugyas you learn in Yeshiva. But Metzia, this is probably the sugya of Metzia, the sugya of tuk for koyin. We're going to try to just touch upon some of the inyanim that the Rishonim that are going to talk over here, but obviously it's tipa minayam. Just to mention that the Shach has a sefer called Tuk for Koyin. It's a sefer that goes into all the different details of Sfeikis and Inyonim have to do with Sfeikis and grabbing and what can a person do as din, what not, and Kol Da'alim Gvar, etc. And it's all based, the reason he called the sefer Tuk for Koyin, obviously the Shach was himself a Koyin, but he called it Tuk for Koyin because the sugya here is called Tuk for Koyin, and this is the main sugya, the basis of all grabbing on, chazakas, etc. It's based on this sugya. So let's start. One comes, you have two people holding a talis, and one grabs the talis of his friend. So what's exactly the case? Either shotik, if you're silent, the other guy, meaning the one, Reuben grabs the whole talis, and Shimon is silent. So that means he's moided. And if he's screaming out loud, so what do you want to do? We have two people holding a talis. And then Reuben pushes Shimon and takes the talis. So why should Reuben be able to keep it? They start by being silent. And then he changed course and Shimon starts screaming. What's the subject? The fact that it was sound originally, that means he was moide. Now that he's screaming, the fact that he was quiet originally, so he says, you know why I didn't scream originally? Because we were in front of base. I had no point to scream. You see what's going on. Well, I saw that people started debating, maybe the chayfetz belongs to him. I said, no. But the fact that it was quiet originally doesn't say anything. Always say the fact that it was quiet originally tells me that it's really belongs to the other guy. So, what's the suffix? The pashtus. where Taisus learns, many of the Rishonim learn, it's the Pashut Shah of the Gemara. The Pashut Shah of the Gemara is, do we say Shtika Goida or we don't say Shtika Goida? It's similar to Shtika Goida. The fact that the person is silent, is that a raya that's not his or not? That's really a simple suffix. Problem is, how does this Gemara fit with the Hemshech Gemara? When we have cases that nobody can go and scream. We'll see regarding Sfeikis, regarding Safek Bchar, there's no screaming over there. So the question is, how does that fit to Hemshech Gemara? That's a problem. We'll see as we go forward. The Ran says, this is not the debate of the Gemara. The debate of the Gemara is, when I have two people holding on to Hatalis, the discussion is, do I look at it, that each one of the people owns half the talis? You have your own ownership of the talis, that's what I see. Either because of the muzakus or because of the taina, the Ran brings two options. But it means each one who's holding on to it is considered to be an owner. So if he's the owner, the fact that someone took it away, that doesn't take it. Or pshat is that it's not that we know that belongs to each one, but it's amada. Right now, each one is holding on to half, so I leave it the way it is. Someone grabs it, I'm not clear who owns anything. It's a suffix if there's a clear ownership over here, only just a way to put things. We're saying this, that's what we can be mamid over here. And then, just to explain more, according to the Ran, what will be the silence and the screaming? Because the Ran, if I know for sure, the fact that I don't know what he's saying doesn't change the fact. But if I'm just doing Ha'amada, now the person is silent, screaming, that gives me some leeway to say, just leave it where it is. Says the Gemara, Toshma, they're both holding on to it. But if one of them holds on to the talis more than the other, then you leave it by him. Hey, Kidam, what's the case? Saying the way it's written, one is holding, one is not. So what's the chiddush? I want to talk to you about the one jumped and grabbed to somebody else. So the case is, they came both of them holding on to it. So they said, okay, let's divide it. Then one comes back and he's holding on to it. The one who's holding on to it says, or do idly. The other guy admitted, yeah, Bezin said divide. We went out, and the guy admitted it really belongs to me. The other one says, no, I rented it to him. He asked me to use it, I gave it, let him to rent it. We tell him, until now, you treat the guy as a gazel. You came to Bezin, you're screaming at him. Now you're renting it without aiding. So therefore, that's what we're talking about. Not the one who's holding on to it because he grabbed it. One is holding on to it because they both agreed he's supposed to hold on to it. Why? Originally, they're both holding on to it. Then, now one is holding on to it. The question is, what changed? One says he was moided to me, the other says, no, I just made a business with him. So that's the case we trust the guy who says he was moided. Like it says, one of them is holding on to it. The other one is holding it very loosely. Means not really grabbing onto it. Even according to suchos, then generally we divide moment when we have a suffix. Even without a shu, as we saw earlier, Simcha holding on without grabbing strongly, so then it's lav klum. So therefore we don't divide it. Says the Gemara now. Im tim tzaloiman tokfa echad b'fanenu moitzi moisomiyad. If you hold that someone grabs somebody else, you take it out from him. Higdisha enim kodesha. So clearly you can't do kiddushin. How can you do kiddushin? How can you do hegdish? Not kiddushin, hegdish. How can it be magdish? Meaning, Reuben and Shimon are holding on to the talis. Reuben grabs it from Shimon, doesn't work. Take it out for him. So Reuben can be magdish either. But if you tell me that Reuben could grab onto it, what happens if Reuben was magdish the talis? What's the question? It's like Morris explains. We learn, that if when a person says, I want to give it to Hegdish, it's as if he's giving it be'adayim. It's as if he grabbed it. Instead of grabbing it by hand, he said Hegdish. Or the maybe Hashto Mio Alok Tokfo. Or we say at the end of the day now, he didn't grab it. The Maisa right now he's not grabbing onto it. He's not. He just said words. The Hegdish can do only something which is in your possession. It's not in his rishus. This is not his rishus. So the question is, does the Hegdish work or not work? So here, this is where the rishus. So again, just to clarify the question, just to say the words of the Gemara, we are saying that if Reuven Shimon holding onto it, we say you have to split it. If Reuven grabs it from Shimon, there's a tzad that Reuven can keep it. If Reuven was magdish it, so now the shaila is, what is this Hegdish or not? What does that have to do? I mean, Reuven did not grab it. If he didn't grab it, I'm dividing between Reuven and Shimon. How can Reuven magdish Shimon? Like, what was even the tzad of the Gemara? How do we understand these words of the Gemara? So Taisa says, Taisa goes to Shitasai in the Sugya. Everything here is based on the fact that Shtika Kaidah. We're talking about that Reuven was magdish it and Shimon was silent. In the beginning, he was silent. And then when the Gizber came to take it, then he started screaming. So we're saying, one second, the fact that Reuven was able to magdish and Shimon did not protest then, he's only protesting now. That's similar to what we said before. Then we talk about a person who was magdish and that he grabbed onto it, and Shimon was silent. So the same thing over here, we have Shimon who was silent. And then the question is, does the Hegdish work or does not work? Right? And the question is, does this Hegdish have to do with Tokfa? Does this Hegdish have to do with Tokfa? Okay? So that's the question. We'll have to see how this Tosis continues explaining the Gemara, the next Gemara that we'll get to. Many of other Rishonim, right, they learn differently. There's many shittas in the Rishonim, but we'll use the Ran, the same Ran that we said before. What the Ran says is, really the discussion in the Gemara is not so much Shtika Koido, not so much Tainus. The question is, how do I look at two people holding on to a talis? Do I see them holding on to a talis, that means each one is the owner of half? Or when they're both holding on to the talis, that means it's Sama Amado, right now, that's why I'm dividing it. But now that I know which it belongs to each one. Nafkamine is a Gabe Hegdish. Can you be Magdish or not? Because if you're saying that right now, I have something which is not so clear that belongs to both, so the Chura Hegdish will work. If I know for sure belongs to one more than the other, I mean, each one has half, then you can't do Hegdish. The discussion of the Gemara is depending on the same debate. Let's see, maybe the Ran. The Ran says, right, you because it's chal everywhere, because you don't have over here in this case, there's no ownership. More than the other. They're both holding on to it. So they both, if it's not a clear division between ownership, one can do Hegdish. If one of them does Hegdish, it's chal. Now, by the Ran, the question is, and this goes into another debate, another discussion. If Reuven Shimon holding on to the talis, Reuven grabs it from Shimon. What happens if Shimon grabs it back from Reuven? The Pashtus, and then we'll see soon on when based similar idea, it works as well. So the Mefarshim asked, based on the other Rishonim, if Reuven is magdish, yeah, but what about the fact that Shimon, how could Shimon, maybe Shimon can grab it back? The same way Shimon can grab it back once Reuven grabbed it, because we don't know who's the owner. So once Reuven is magdish, Shimon should be able to take it back. So different answers that the Acharim explain. They say that, yeah, once Hegdish is chal, so then there's no way back. When the Hegdish is chal, you can't take it back. By Tokvo, we don't have a bureau. But Hegdish, once Hegdish is chal, because I don't know what to do, so then you don't take it back. Just to see over here, the Lashon of the Ran, see if you can find it, to learn it inside. Right. So the way the Ran learns, I mean, without the words, when the talis is in suffix, so chalav hegdish misafik, right? It's a suffix. I'm not saying it's a vaday because I don't know where it is, so I have to do hegdish misafik. That's what it is, right? Okay. So that's what the Ran learns, and this we mainly, and this the Ramban goes in a similar way. These are the many of the difficulties here in the sugya. A person can grab for somebody else. How can it be magdish somebody else? So according to the two main shoes we learn right now, Tosus learns of Pshat is because the other guy is sick. According to the Ran, because maybe it's his, because I don't know who's the owner. Says the Gemara, Toshma. Who brings another case? To bring a riot to our case. Mesusa is a merchetz. It's a bathhouse. They have a mitzu alo beitrei. Two people were fighting on it. Who's the owner? Hayom did you? Each one says it belongs to me. Kam chad minayu agdisho. One of them went and made the bathhouse hegdish. Parshu of Chananya, Rabishaya, Vikul Rabbanon. So everyone did not want to use this bathhouse anymore because maybe it's hegdish. When you go in front of Rav Chizdo in the place called Kafri, ask him this question regarding the Masusa. Ki also the Surah, at the end of the day, it's interesting why. And he didn't go to Kafri, he went to Surah, and he met Rav Nuna. Amalei Rav Nuna Mastisi. Says Rav Nuna, it's a Mishnah. What's our Mishnah? It says, Sofik b'choyros. You have a b'chor that you're not sure if it's a b'chor or not. Echad b'chor adam, echad b'chor be'imo. If it's a b'chor, it belongs to the kohen, or at least for an adam, you have to give money to the kohen. If it's a b'chor be'im, you have to give it to the kohen. If it's not a b'chor, it's not. Bein toyim mitmei, obviously speak about an animal. Hamoitzi mechaver olav. So the kohen cannot take any money out of the owner because you have no proof that it belongs to the kohen. V'tani alone, we learned over there, asurim begizo be'avoido. Still has some kedusha to it. So you now do giza avoida. Giza avoida means giza is to enjoy the wool, and avoida is to make the animal work. Meaning there's some kedusha over here. It's interesting lashon. So first of all, here's the takva koyin. The lashon comes from here. Nobody said it. Nobody said the following words. But the Gemara is deriving it based on many of the Rishonim. The Gemara is deriving just like saying, if you say, talk for kohen, if the kohen will grab onto the b'chor and we won't take it away from him. Why? How do you know for sure we won't take it away from him? Well, it's based on the tzad that if you have talk for, you have shtayim ochsim metalis. So the din is the Reuven grabs it on, you don't take it away from him. So also the kohen, if he's talk for kohen, you don't take it away from him. The Ktani means nobody can take away from any. Each one has a taina. Maybe it's fine. The chilotok for you, but why the kohen did not grab onto the animal? Assume begizo be'avoido. It's also begizo be'avoido. Why is it also begizo be'avoido? It doesn't belong to the kohen. It belongs to the owner. So what's the shaykhis? Answer is the fact that the kohen has the ability to grab onto it. It becomes hektish. Says the Gemara, you see the answer before we go back to the Rishonim that we mentioned. Amalei Rabo, Kedushas Bechor Komas. You want to bring a rayo from Kedushas Bechor? It could be, even if you want to tell me that when a kohen grabs onto it, so then you take it away from him. You mean like the other tzad that we said before. Still, you're not allowed to do work with it, and you have to treat it as hektish. The Kedusha Bo Me'eleh Shani. This did not come because of hektish. This came automatically. How does Bechor become hektish? He's born Kaddish. So here that I don't know who belongs to, I have the Kedusha. Nobody has to do anything. It doesn't have nothing to do with the fact that someone was Magdish. It just came on its own. It's easier for it to be Chal. So what is the Gemara saying? What is the Gemara saying? So a question here, this Mahalach, the Gemara goes back to the Rishonim. According to Taisis, before Taisis, let's start with the Ran. According to the Ran, there is understanding how we compare this Gemara to what we said before. Before we spoke about Reuven and Shimon, they're fighting about something, and Reuven goes and magdish it. The question is, does it work or not? Here we talk about that the Kohen didn't say a word. There's a behemoth that was born. I'm not sure if it's a b'chor or not a b'chor. So I'm saying that this behemoth has some kedusha to it. What the shaykh is to magdish, says the Ran, according to what The Ran explained, here's the pshat. Because if I know for sure that Metzia Rayo is Achro, the right nuts and whatever's in the hands of these shoulders not belong to the Kohen, there's no Kedusha. But if you're telling me that I'm not sure, it's some kind of a just Achro, so there is here a tzad that belongs to the Kohen, therefore you have over your Kedusha. That's the Rai. It's not exactly the same case, but that's a Rai regarding this. According to Tosfos, what was the whole basis of the discussion? The basis was the fact that Shimon was silent. That when Reuben was magnish, Shimon did not protest. If that's the case, so what do I have to do over here? Here there's no silence, no shaykhs over here. Here you have to come to say that Tosfos learns differently. Tosfos learns, this is really, I'm sure I'm discussed it in length. Tosfos learns this suffix is a standalone suffix. It's just a standalone suffix. It has nothing to do with the suffix that we spoke about regarding two people that are fighting. So regarding the kohen that you have kedusha, that's standalone. We want to learn from here. We want to have some kind of a limud from here. Then now that we see that there's some kedusha of a kohen, which is nothing to do with our sugya, but you see still that the kohen, there's some kedusha remains in the b'char. So if that's the case, so now I could come and say that the same thing will happen if someone's magnish. It's not the same. It's not the reason. The reason is based on that, based on what we said now, it's nothing to do with two people fighting on a kedusha, because then you have to have a silence. But you're learning from the kohen to our case as well. So now the Shiloh one horror is so, and let's clarify this last point a little more. How do you have a shaykhis between Tokfoy to Meiser? Right? What do you want to say? Let's continue. This next point I want to get to is really to get to the next part of the Gemara. So we'll get to that first. But before we get to, so where we're holding right now is we have in the Mahalach of the Gemara two main shittas of the Rishonim. We have the Tosfos that learns that we're talking about Shoisek Shtika Koido, and that's the Mahalach of the Gemara. Now we're coming to speak about Tok for Kohen. Tok for Kohen is a different case. They have to speak is a different case. You just want to derive from it something else. You want to bring a raya. The fact that Tok for Kohen means that you see there is some shaykhs to it. Now the Ran learns that really it's a sofik beikar dinim of chazaka. How do I look at chazaka? How do I look at someone's holding on to something? Now, the Seder. So now says the Gemara, continues the Gemara, O Malay Rav Chanan Yoli Rabbo. Chanan tells Rabbo, to the Rabbo, we just learned this, the claim of Rabbo to say Tok for Kohen would seem you some other. You say that it's different. Tanadim says, bring your raya. What's the raya? As feikas nichasim ladir lisasa. When you have a suffix, if something is chab b'maisa beim or not. What is a maisa beimo? Maisa beimo is you take 10 animals. Every 10 animals, you have to make one of the animals maisa. And the way it works, you open a door in the pen, let animals leave one by one, and then the 10th animal, you color, you put sapeit in it, and that becomes maisa beimo. If you have animals that are suffix, if they're chayav and maisa beimo or not, we'll see soon what is exactly the suffix. So they go into, you put them in a deal, misaser. If you hold, if the kohen will grab it, you don't take it away from him. The one understands, when do you have Maisa Behemo that's potter? When is that a potter Maisa Behemo? If it doesn't belong to the Yisrael, it belongs to the kohen. Now, you're saying over here, I have a suffix, I'm not sure it belongs to the kohen or not. So you do Meiser. But if the kohen can grab onto it, so he's using the money of the kohen to do Meiser. If he told me to put kohen with Tzimur Samiyadoi, so then that means it always will stay by the Yisrael. But if you have a kohen name with Tzimur Samiyadoi, so then you're taking out from the kohen. If you leave by Yisrael, so the kohen has your bios, right? So the that's all right. Amalei Abayim Shumalet to say Elamai. From there, doing a right. You need to have 10 animals to do Maisa Beimo. The person has only 9 animals. There's no chayv for Maisa Beimo. But he has a 10th animal, which is a suffix. So, he says Maisa Beimo, I'll do Maisa Beimo Mimonavshach. What's the Mimonavshach? The Mimonavshach. If it's an animal that's not the kohen's, so you're doing a Maisa Beimo. If it's not Ma'aser Be'ema, it belongs to the Kohen, there's no chiyuv here to begin with. That's the Gemara says, so don't bring a riot from here. Could be there's no obligation without this animal. Now, here, so the Achorim debate and discuss. The Gemara says, if you take it away from the Kohen, so then I understand I sky b'maiser. And if you don't take it away from the Kohen, so why is it chayv b'maiser? Why it depends on that. Even if you take it away from the Kohen, what will be the push-up shot? I'm saying I don't know what to do, so I'm going to leave it by the guy. Comes the Kohen, grabs onto it. I'm not going to take it away from the Kohen. That means I know it doesn't belong to the Kohen. I don't know what it is. So the Achorim say, you see from here that this idea that if you keep something by somebody and if nobody can take it away from him, that's a cheskas momin. The cheskas momin, the way Bechor Wasserman says in the Krivet Zoharis, it is a vaday. When I don't know what to do, when I keep money over here, chazaka is not just a suffix I don't know what to do, so I leave it like the push of shot. Chazaka is for me a vaday. And that's really the suffix of the Gemara over here. The debate of the Gemara. How do I look at chazaka's moment? Someone's holding on to a moment. Does that mean that I know for sure it's his? Or I don't know if it's his or not. It's a suffix, but I'm not going to take it out from him. Anybody who's taking it out, I'll give it back to him. That's the way the Chachamim learns. Rav Shimon Shkop says more right. And this is Rav Shimon Shkop that we mentioned earlier, and I believe in Maseches Kedushin. Shimon Shkop Zok, he says like this: the way Mammon is determined is based on halachas of din momis. Mammon is not a Metzias. I don't come to say what is the reality of Mammon. I go based on the halachas and Beis Din. You go to Beis Din. Beis Din say, what should I do? So the money stays by Reuven. That makes it Reuven the owner. Now that he owns it because he can do whatever he wants because Beis Din gave it to him. So he mainly l'kol adinim, even for Yisurim, he's also an owner. The Yisurim follow the Mammons. Once I have a chazak and I can't take it away from him, and the Kohen can't grab out then, that means the Reuven is the owner. If Reuven is the owner, so now if anybody wants to come and take it away from Reuven, if nobody can take it away from Reuven is the owner. If Reuven is the owner, so now there's no way that all these terms apply as well. So you do Ma'aser Be'ema. The Ma'aser Be'ema follows the moment. Says the Gemara, Hodom Abaye la milsi da'ami. The Sveika lav paisuri. Says Abaye, I wanted to bring her a rayo. I wanted to say it's a suffix, right? What did Abaye say? Abaye says it could be really that the animal is a suffix kohen, so we're not kohen. Hi, how do I do Ma'aser Be'ema? Because I'm okay with the Ma'aser Be'ema because if it belongs to the kohen, there's no chiyuv Ma'aser Be'ema. Says Abaye, this is wrong to say that. Why? Because what I told you, the reason why it's wrong. Sveika lav bar isuri. When I have a suffix, I never do Ma'aser. I don't do Ma'aser misafik. I don't do Ma'aser at all. Then that. How do we know that? It says the following: Kovatz echod min aminuim lesoichon kulam pturim. Person counted animals. Every 10 animals, he's going to be chayav Ma'aser Be'ema. So he starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Suddenly, one of these animals jumped into the other animals. Went back to the original animals. So the din is the what? Din is that the all potter. Potter from what? Potter Ma'aser Be'ema. And if you say Mitzvah, you have to do Isur, you have to do Ma'aser, last time one of Shach, do Ma'aser. If it's Bar Chiyuv, so it's a Ma'aser. And if that animal is already potter because it was counted, Niftar b'minyan aroi. What does it mean Niftar b'minyan? Niftar b'minyan aroi is a concept that when you counted animals, these animals are potter. Look at Rashi. Minyan aroi kishemona aleph beis gimel. And in this case, you potter from Ma'aser Be'ema. So once you counted. As Gemara says, the Omar Rova Minyan Aroi Poiter. Says Rashi, what's Minyan Aroi Poiter? Hayalo Asoret Loim. He has 10 animals. Umon Chamesh. And he counted 5. Umeis Echod. One of them died. Min Shein Minuim. For the ones that he wasn't counting. The 5 that were left inside. Menuim Pturim. The ones he counted, he counted. Shein Minuim is time for the Goy Nachid. The other ones he didn't count will join will go to another group of animals. And you have a pasuk that tells you that. So what is going to say like this? I have one that jumped into it. I don't know what is it. Which animal it is. So what I'm going to do is do Ma'aser. Wow, I'm going to do Ma'aser. If you do a ma'aser from the 10. If it's bar chiyuvu, if he's obligated, very good. And if it's not obligated, you say already it's patur, niftar min aroi. Whenever I counted already is niftar. It's already patur mi ma'aser be'emo. So I'm okay over here to the fact that I'm putting in to make you calling ma'aser be'emo. So, right. So the counting will work for them. In other words, even though now I have a bunch of 10, and one of the 10 is already patur, it was already counted out before. So these 9 that you counted don't have a ma'aser be'emo. I don't care they don't have a ma'aser be'emo. If I counted them, they're patur just because of counting. So says Abaye, I don't understand. You said if one got into your patur, why you patur? Just do it moravshach. Similar to the moravshach that we said before. Says Gemara Zayin Amud Aleph, Elo ma'aser be'emo. You have to tell me, asir v'adar machmona v'lo asir sofek. But tell me, no, the Torah says that you only do ma'aser if you know for sure it's a ma'aser, not a sofek. So here when I'm saying that in our case when you have the sofek b'choyer, they went into ma'aser be'emo. That's why a sfeikis a chasiv deal lisaser. When we talk about the sfeikis. So if it was a sofek, it was a real sofek, I don't know who it belongs to. So you will do no ma'aser. Elama, what do you see? What do you see from here? Well, what is the word telling me? You have to tell me it's not a suffix. It's for sure belongs to the Yisrael. And therefore you could do a ma'aser, because if you have even a suffix, if you have a doubt what to do, so then what is the din? The din is that a sfeikos, there's no ma'aser be'ema by sfeikos. So in fact, the sfeikos chalizaser means there's no suffix. It's a vada. It's for sure belongs to Yisrael. Now, so two halaras over here that this will conclude this year. Number one is the Tosfos asks a question. Tosfos says when you have one, we spoke about its fakest. You have one that if you counted a ma'aser be'emo and he jumped into the group, so the din is that they're patur. So says Tosfos, why? They batal beruba. You go to chumrah and you have your animal fell into the bunch, she'll be batal b'roiv. She batal b'roiv. That's what Tosfos asks. So Tosfos says that we don't say batal b'roiv. He wanted to say, Tosfos would say, don't tell me that because it's kavua, because it's davar chashuv, it doesn't batal, because that's only the batal. So Tosfos says with the question, why don't we say batal b'roiv? There's many answers in Achronim to this. But one big yesod that Achronim bring, they say, one big ma'alach that many Achronim agree to, Bitul B'roiv works only to say that something that was usher, you put it into the mix, so it's not usher anymore. Something which is truma, you put it into the mix, it's batal. But to give a new shame to the dover based on the roiv, that you don't do. You want to say over here, these animals are chayav ma'aser be'emo, this animal is not chayav ma'aser be'emo. You want to put it into the group and say, okay, now it'll be chayav ma'aser be'emo. Roiv doesn't make a chiyuv in it. Roiv is only mevatel the existing either isser or heter or chiyuv. But they come and give it a new shame, a new chiyuv, that you don't say. That's what the Achronim is saying. The Achronim will point out, the Achronim Yeshiva Tosfos disagrees with this akudah, because they didn't answer this answer. As we depart from this daf, which is, you can spend on this daf a month, but just as we depart from here, say the one nekudah that is so much Torah on it is what is the maskana of the Gemara? Right in the Chura, the way we learn the Gemara comes out with a maskana. Maskana is that the Gemara wanted to bring a raya that talked for koyin mutzim yisumiyod. What's the raya? The raya is because it says that if you have sfeikis and nichasim adil lisaser, you have a subject that belongs to the koyin, so then it goes into the deer to be lisaser. You do ma'aser be'emo. So said the Gemara, why are you doing ma'aser be'emo? It's something maybe belongs to the kohen. So Abaye wanted to tell me, no, maybe it's only 9 plus 1, so therefore it's okay. So Abaye, no, that's not true. Anytime I have a sofek, what's the din? I don't do ma'aser be'emo. So the fact that I'm doing ma'aser be'emo over here, what does that tell me? There's not a sofek, it's a vada. What does it mean? A vada belongs to Yisrael. Talk for kohen with simoi samiyada. Most of the Rishonim learn like this. Talk for kohen with simoi samiyada. But the problem is the Rambam. The Rambam paskins that in this case, when you have the pchoyers, The din is that Tok Kohen ain't Metzia Mishum Yodai. If the Kohen will grab onto it, Metzia Mishum Yodai. And that's a big problem because the maskana of our Gemara is that you did take it out from his hand. So there are many answers. The Mefarshim on the Rambam, there's a Kalim want to say things, and maybe there's a Gemara that argues. The Gemara in Ksuvas maybe argues. So therefore, Rambam passes that Gemara. Many Achorim want to learn that maybe the Tok Kohen part is a little different than what we learned regarding two people that are grabbing to each other. It has to do with the discussion we had at the beginning of the daf. So maybe it's a little different. The Achorim have so much Torah on this Rambam. How did the Rambam come to the maskana that Tok Kohen Metzia Mishum Yodai if the Chura our Gemara is Metzia Mishum Yodai? And one thing to remember, just as we conclude over here, that this comes out to be the big machlokes over here of the Rishonim. The Tosfos learns that Tosfos, many other Rishonim learn that halacha is that Tok Kohen, the din is that what? Tok Kohen Metzia Mishum Yodai. Because that's the maskana of the Gemara. And the Rama is Tok Kohen ein Metzia Mishum Yodai. One way, just to mention one thing, is that there's a difference between the case that we have over here and the case before. Because the case over here, you have what's called cheskas. The case before, the case the Rambam holds. That Tok Kohen Metzia Mishum Yodai. That there's a difference when you have a cheskas morakamo, you don't have cheskas morakamo. Meaning, when you have an animal, I'm not sure who the owner is. I never knew who the owner is. So the thing is that I stay with the suffix, the Tok Kohen Metzia Mishum Yodai. But if I know that it belongs to somebody, the question is, did he leave that somebody? Then now it become meiser and he left the hands of the owner. So you have something called cheskas morakam. Cheskas morakam will overcome what we speak about chazakas. And this goes into what Kuntras Asfekis says, famous Kuntras Asfekis, that says there's a difference between chazaka, a cheskas moment, person holds on to a sefer, cheskas moment, to cheskas morakam that we say who was the previous owner. Cheskas moment is that's how it's a type of either, depends on how the Achorim call it, either it's a birur, or it's a hanaga, or it's a vados, like we said before. I see the money in your hand, I assume it's yours. Cheskas morakam is a chazaka like any other chazaka, says the Kuntras Asfekis. The same way I have something which is tar, I assume it continue to be tar. Something which is tameh, I assume it continue to be tameh. Somebody who is the owner of an item, I assume he continue to be the owner of the item. So when you have cheskas morakam, then I say the Tok Kohen Metzia Mishum Yodai. If I don't have cheskas morakam, I just have a chazaka based on the current event, so then I do Metzia Mishum Yodai. That's one way that Achorim say. Sure, Shmuel speaks about it and others, but this is one nekuda out to explain the Rambam that seems to say in this case you take out from the Kohen. In another case, he says that when you have two people holding on to atas, so you don't. So then, sorry, in that case, Metzia Mishum Yodai, and here in the Kohen, Metzia Mishum Yodai. B'Ser Gomel. Stop over here. We just touched upon some of the sugyas of Tok Kohen in this daf.